This is perfect. What's going on? So this video, I'm going to explain why science is probably the dumbest thing I ever heard, and why it's not needed. Well, I can tell you right now, which I was going to anyway, but it's just to incubate and to persuade you more of doing something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's proved, that it's needed, and that it's substantial for anything in your life. It's pretty much useless. Science is just bullshit. I'm pretty sure I covered a similar topic in some of my earlier videos. You would have to check them out. But basically, how is science gonna make, this is the only thing, it can make you try to do something, I don't need to know all this other bullshit about the cells, the mitochondria, and It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's never gonna help you do anything. It might convince you in a way, just like it said, science can bring all the aspects of what's going on when the baby's in your stomach, this and that, and you may get in a feel or an objective thought from the mind, and maybe that will propel you to do something experientially wise or way, but all in all, it's a bunch of bullshit. Second of all, knowing in the past has ever used science, they didn't need to. I don't know what you would determine as science, but I'm just basing what science off of, because ultimately it's what your definition of the word is, and same with everything else. But it's a bunch of bullshit. Because science doesn't prove anything. If anything, it's misleading and it's a lie, and it wants you to believe in it more and leave you astray. Again, they can say, oh yeah, sex feels good and sex does this and that, and this is the science behind it, of all the cells and why it works and how it makes you feel and I can't even tell you all the science anyway, because it's a bunch of bullshit and it doesn't mean anything. And sorry, I am walking through a tunnel for a short period of time, so it may get a little bit darker, but it's all just a bunch of bullshit though. And they indoctrinate it in your head, indoctrinate, whatever, in your head, to just fill you with knowledge that doesn't matter. It was never used before, nor is it needed now. I don't care about all people get into such prolific words and all these made up words, just like the scientific name of a dog or a plant. No one cares. It doesn't matter. Another thing is, science can't prove anything. Only your experience can, and how you feel from it. The past is the past. You can't dig up a skull and find how long ago it really was. I mean, if it's fresh, you might be able to, and if you've seen other skulls, you could compare them to other body parts, skulls, or fossils, but you can never get, because if something's fresh, yeah, you're going to be able to tell, and it would still be in its body, but other than that, you're just going batshit crazy, because it's impossible to know the past. There is no way. Science is all made up. It doesn't matter what it says about history or whatever. It's all a lie, and it's all man-made. I'm only doing this to raise awareness and maybe teach you something. And maybe you should disregard your beliefs on about everything you should know. Again, history is all made up. You weren't there and no one else was. The only person who could have kind of been there, and which probably doesn't know the truth anyway, because all the lies and the misinformation and just the way things were spread before, were older people that were, you know, here for such a period of time, like people who are 100 years old. And then again, that's just their experience and their opinion. Everything you hear is someone else's experience and opinion. And especially with signs, because they're just going to leave you astray and they're going to lie to you. And it doesn't matter, because we already know the truth. I don't need something on paper to tell me how I feel or how it's supposed to feel or what it does, you know what I mean? I don't need to tell me anybody. It's just so stupid. You're just filling your mind or wasting your time being bamboozled with all this hypocrisy, because that's what it really is. You're just making things way harder. Why would you make something way harder than it actually is? We don't need to know the science behind it. It's a bunch of bullshit. Science in itself is just in existence, along with a lot of other things, is bullshit. You will never learn anything from science. You'll think that you'll gain some knowledge, but it's not needed, and it's just going to confuse you, take up memory, waste your time, and just make you think about things that you really don't need to. Again, the past is the past, and there's no way to prove anything about it. Archaeology, whatever. It's all, they can never give you specific ways or details or whatever, because it's nonsense. You know, if you work out and you feel good from it, you don't need to tell me the science behind it or why I felt good and what it did to my body. It's useless. I will feel it. That's why you must feel and you must experience. Again, people who are primitive ancestors, primitive people, isolated people, don't deal with science, they've never needed science. They don't need all this stuff. All these universities and colleges, they're just here to manipulate you and make things harder, and of course take your money, of course, and waste your time, and that all sums up to your energy, and that's why they always want to take it. They are full of shit. Science would never help you, and it's a lie. You might as well just watch your favorite sitcom on TV, because you'll probably learn more or have a better time. Science just manipulates everything and makes it way harder for you to understand. Go read a science journal, an article, and they make up all these words about all these things, but it doesn't matter. You never remember any of it. And you don't need to, and you never will. Just like when you go to school and you learn all that bullshit, you don't use none of it when you get out of there. It's all bullshit. Everyone's just so separated from nature. Nature has its natural things and its natural feelings and ways of life that must be followed, and it can never change. Science is trying to do that, and it's trying to deny nature basically and go against it in its own ways. We don't need science to prove anything. Some dummies today think they need science because it makes them feel better, or reinitiates or reignites why they might believe in something, but it's all a lie. Even believing is a lie, because you have to believe to believe. Believing is not a thing, you know what I mean? You have to feel. If you aren't feeling, then you aren't experiencing. And that's what makes every individual unique, no matter how many times I say it, is our capability to feel, and it makes one unique. Science would never get you anywhere, and sorry for the jumpiness, I just switching hands or maybe hitting some rocks because I'm on some tracks. But it's just to make you gullible and non-transparent, whereas you want to be transparent and see through it. It will never get you anywhere, and people are just exhausting things, just like books in schools. It was never needed in the past. We never went to school. We learned from our mothers and fathers, or our parents or guardians, whatever it was at the time of the situation, because we used to live outside. And we used to learn all our things right then and there. We didn't have schools, we didn't have books, and we definitely didn't need some outsource of entertainment. We didn't need all this stuff, and it wasn't necessary. Another thing to look upon, my left arm's getting tired, was the fact that, you could say like phones nowadays, they have phones. Anything that's on this earth, they already always had. They always had. And of course, I can't prove this, and I can't go back in history or in time per se, but they always had it. The reason why they don't discover cell phones particularly, or maybe like maybe like what we see as an advanced screen, it's all already here. And some people understand this, but when they explain it, they make it way harder to understand. And some people just don't know about it and are kind of gullible and will transmit this to themselves. And some people just don't care, whatever. And some people just, again, will not believe or shunder you, whatever it is. But in the past, they never needed a cell phone. That's why it was never made. They had a simplistic way of life, an easy way of doing things. They sent signals. That's what the pyramids were for. And I'm not gonna get into all of it, but that's why they didn't have the things we have nowadays, because we were dumbified and we were stupid, and they try to make us get more and pay for things. Energy is for free, and so is electricity, but they want to make you pay your life and your energy and waste your time and money on it. Again, energy is for free, and this is proven, but it's in the air, it's everywhere, and it's in the abundance, it's unlimited. They want you to pay for this though, and make it hard for you to live life and make you feel like this is how life's supposed to be, but it really isn't. They're controlling you with civilization, if you want to call it that, and modernization. Again, even though I can't prove it in the past, I guarantee, like, the stuff about the pyramids and stuff like that, that's only a relatable example I could bring to you at the moment, that you would know specifically, and that would, for the masses, they didn't need cell phones, they didn't need computer screens. They did have their own stuff that was similar, kind of like it, but they didn't need it, and we don't need it today. You are just a dummy and think you need it, or they make you assume that you need it, or again, that's all they provide with you that you need. They connect it in different ways, and I'm not just making, I know that might seem, or some of the stuff might seem like I'm making up, and all in all, doesn't really matter, but they're lying to you, and it's all a lie. They cover up the history and they make the history. Again, I don't have proof for it, but it's just all a lie, and it's all just to confuse you and bombard you with information and keep you distorted and, you know, like a hologram of the truth, hallucinating so you never know it. And people always say things that, like, you know, find the truth, go find the truth. What the fuck does that mean? It just leaves you more confused than you were, but they try to make you grasp something as if it was something, which is a bunch of bullshit. try to find the truth. Like, what, we lived here for all these years and there's this past, but no one knows the truth. These people live simplistic lives, and that's why some primitive people don't deal with modern day technology or cell phones, or AKA some forms of electricity, because electricity is always there. But I've heard some primitive people, they don't need electricity, nor do they want it, because they're satisfied with their day-to-day life. They never needed it. And of course we get charged for it, we get taxed, and make our lives harder in situations the way they transcribe it and make us use it, or make us have to get it, which is a bunch of bullshit anyway. So to sum up this video, science is a bunch of bullshit, and you don't really need it, and it all depends on your definition of it, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree to the definition, at least I'm coming from, and the way I'm explaining it and making it vulnerable to you. Again, it's useless. It's going to take up wasteless space and time and memory inside your head, inside your noggin, that you don't need. Thanks for tuning into the video. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a like if you want. Give me a down if you're gonna hate. Doesn't really matter. Thanks for tuning in.